We've been really lucky because you would think that with the sole proprietor, we would have run into a problem with if something happened to him, what would we do? And we've been lucky. But I think we have a little bit more security with a firm and with the cloud.
And this is the one that the firm prefers. And it's within
Sort of the industry leader. I don't know.
and it's cheap, it's actually cheaper than we originally were
Mhm.
bought, so it's
Williams and
Well, and we thought we were gonna have to pay more out of ARPA funds for the grade off. But because we got the trade in, that's 30,000 less, so we're only gonna need about 5,000 of those stimulus funds for that, so I think it's not as much of a hit, I guess I would say. So I need to know if we want to make a motion to purchase the software and go with the cloud and authorize me to sign the agreements.
I'll make a motion. Authorize Supervisor Rotundo to sign the software proposal. Or both.
seconded.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
I just,
cloud.
and so, and the cloud-based apps,
Yes.
what is there a separate proposal for that, or? is that-
Yes. Did you get it? I don't know if I gave you.
You get it.
There. Dave,
Oh, I'm sorry, I have it.
You got it.
I have it. That's a one fee of $895.
The other 17,250.
Yeah, and the other 17,250, okay. 1,000 annual access fee of $1,000.
So, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried, yay. Big wait, to get the accounting thing ready for January 1 without time. Okay, the next thing is simply a report out. You each got the letter. You had submitted a request to, state DOT if they would consider reducing the speed limit coming out of the hamlet of Pompey Hill on Route 20 in the area of Shea Road and Citation Drive. If anybody remembers, they wanted streetlights in that area. But instead, we realized maybe it was a speed issue, but the state has determined that it's not necessary. So that speed zone will remain 55. The other two things are simply announcements. The Pompey Hill Summit Association is losing its last member. She's been the only member of that association for a very, very long time. Her name is Nancy Hammond. I don't know if anybody knows her, but that cemetery has been in a state of neglect and disrepair for quite a while. So we've been working with Alma Hartnett, who is sort of spearheading an effort to resurrect the Cemetery Association and working with the state Department of State, because they have a cemetery division. I learn a lot. But so in any event, we've worked in, I've been in discussions with Tim about what, if anything, the town would be allowed to do as far as maintenance. And it sounds like we might be able to help. It is a public cemetery, so anybody can be buried there. So there is a meeting. Yes, right, at the Pompey Community Church on November 10th at 7 o'clock. The state a representative from the state cemeteries division will be present and facilitate the meeting, and they'll be there for anybody who would like to attend to join in a discussion about what to do about that cemetery. And discuss whether or not we can do a public-private sort of partnership to help with that. There is a group of Daughters of the American Revolution, local group that has learned how to clean headstones and repair them, and they were up there over Columbus weekend. Doing just that with and Nancy Hammond, and I was up there. That cemetery, I did a walkthrough. The chapel has a hole in the roof. I mean, it's so sad. There's gravestones that have been knocked over by sheer age that are literally buried in the ground. You're gonna have to dig them up to get them standing back up again. So there's a lot of work to be done, but it is a beautiful setting. And anybody who's interested within the sound of my voice, come to PCC on November 10th. And last but not least, on a good note, we have scheduled the tree lighting ceremony. It's going to be again at Pompey Historical Society, hopefully not as cold as it was last year, for Sunday, December 4th, at 2 p.m. And I think there'll be a special guest arriving at 2:30. Not at 3:30 like last year. So
Finally get some heat there this time.
I'm working on it
Okay.
because it was cold. Freezing.
I mean, they've done them before, where the tree is over there, so that makes it.
Well, and it's, yeah, and the Historical Society is very excited about being able to host. They like the whole thing. So, and they do all kinds of crafty things and making suet balls for the birds that they hang on the tree and stuff like that. So it's fun.
You've got to figure some heaters,
I know.
some salamanders or some kind of heaters.
We'll come up with something. Maybe it'll be 70 degrees. Who knows?
Uh,
Well, it's gonna be 70 degrees this weekend, for goodness sake. Anyway, public comment.
Do you want to make a motion to pay the bills before we move on?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills, seeing how I signed the last.
I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody gotta look at them, right?
Yeah, I think so. I got the last.
Motion carried.
I'd like to make a motion, Bill Light passes the tic tac.
Hoarding the tic tacs. So, public comment. The only comment I'm gonna make prior to public comment is we will have no outbursts like we did, like we had last, meeting. First outburst gets a warning. You do it again, you're gonna be asked to leave. This is a respectful environment. You don't talk over people. You let them speak. And we're all gonna act civilized. So that said, is there a list?
Don Salah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don Sala from Solomon Seal in Pompey. Renee, you took the words out of my mouth. I wanted to thank you and the board members for maintaining decorum, professionalism, despite some comments that could have caused arguments and anger. And I think the town should be proud of all five of you for the way you're handling that.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Don.
Thank you.
Next is Deborah Griner.
Grenier. Yeah.
I need to move into Pompey. All right.
And Cemetery Road, and I just appreciate all the work you've done with the accounting and getting the internal audit done. And the new accounting system, new accountant, very good job. I do still think that there should be an external audit. The town of Manlius does it every year. I don't know, when was the last time we did an external audit? Did you know? Was it before you were here or during or? Yeah, that's really, it should be for government, energy should be audited probably every year, would be a good idea. And I just want to know what people think about it. We had a meet and greet, the Conservative Party had a meet and greet up at the town house, and a lot of people were talking about audit. Thinking it was a good idea. Why not, And that's what I'm asking. I guess I just want to know, we still have, use ARPA money if there's leftover ARPA money for that. It's a one-time. Use some of it for the accounting software. And if it's a one time, this would be like maybe a one-time thing since you got extra money in the budget. We've already, done your budget. So the other money would be the way to get our town on par with, especially since we're getting. So just want to know what the board thought of that, and give some consideration. That's the way I can find it. Thank you.
Mark Grenier.
Did you get it right?
That's Grenier. Yeah. I got to sit down because I get nervous. I've been working all night. I worked last night. I'm an intensive care nurse and a travel nurse. And I have 2 rooms that I take care of every night. Each one of those is about $500,000 a piece. I run 2 small businesses every single day. And my object is to get my patients better. I produce results, but I'm accountable. And one of the ways that we account for our actions is with this charting. And it's maybe 50% of my work. It's laborious, but I cannot make a mistake. When I walk out of I check out and I punch out, I'm walking right by an office and there's 4 people sitting in there looking at all our charts. And they audit our charts every single night. My manager gets a report. There was a NARC error here. There was someone didn't walk up on that bed there. I mean, it's minuscule. And we don't like it. We don't like this. But we do like it because it keeps us accountable and it makes us real. It makes us real for the patient's benefit. Like you get a nasty gram, we call it a nasty gram in the morning. We go, oh boy, I gotta go talk to the manager, So to make a long story short, when Jake comes once a year, and we know that Jaco's coming in, it's labeled on the Foley, everything's labeled, it's all top notch. There are no mistakes. And when we first started doing this back in like 2012, 2010, it was the sheriff was in town and we didn't really like it. I found that by the year 2017, 2018, even now, that we like it. We actually appreciate it. We found out, man, we got dinged for restraints. And Jaco knows where to look to find the stuff. Because internally on Epic with our software, things can be hidden or just not charted. But Jaco knows where to look. And I just want to make the point that an external audit creates a culture of accountability that you begin to appreciate 2 or 3 years down the road. And when someone else has the pulse on your activities, they can say, you know what, you did a really good job right here. You need to take a look at this. And that's all I really have to say is just creating a culture of accountability that you will enjoy. And it becomes, even though the sheriff's in town, it's actually good for the patient. That's fine.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm exhausted. I've been working all night.
Anyone else?
Nancy Furter.
I was at that same meet and greet, and Dave, maybe you remember one of the state representatives suggested that we might be able to get an audit pro bono, no charge. I can't remember who he said to talk to, but somebody was going to get a name or number or something. I think it was Lamont. Is that right? Lamont's representative or something. There may be a way to get this without it incurring costs to the taxpayers. Just a thought. That's not what I wanted to talk about though. I want to talk about garbage. So we just built our house. We just a few months ago got our certificate of occupancy. So we haven't yet entered the cycle of the paying for the garbage service. And I'm kind of at a loss because in my 57 years, I've never been like forced to pay for garbage pickup. And I've got a unique situation where we're a half mile off the road, our very long driveway. And Renee, you saw we're on Sevier Road, right on the hill. There's no way that we're gonna haul garbage a half mile and leave it on the edge of the road for pickup. Long story short, we don't want garbage pickup. We generate very little garbage. We compost a lot of stuff. And what we may have maybe a bag a week, maybe that we're taking right to Rock Cut Road for $3. It costs us $3 to take it. So it's my understanding that if I understood Tom correctly, I think it's going up to 350. When you say per unit, I assume you mean per household, correct? So $350 per household. And then that begs the question for the people who are receiving that service, what if it's a single person with a bag a month, maybe, or bag every couple of weeks, as opposed to James Loomis, I'm looking at you, Mr. Big Family. I don't know how much garbage you generate, but several more bags presumably than someone like Renee might, but you're both paying the same amount for the garbage. It seems equitable. I guess for me personally, I'm asking to opt out of it. And I understand there's a fee though, but then there's a penalty, $100 and some penalty to opt out of it, which I also don't think is fair. And just the whole, I guess I'm just asking the board to maybe revisit that whole thing. We're spending almost $1 million a year for trash removal. And I'm just wondering if how many residents realize that they're paying exactly the same. We might have 10 times more garbage than they do.
Yeah, I guess.
I will just say, and I'm gonna let you guys talk. We are having our SOTS annual meeting tomorrow afternoon. So I will bring that up. I have to call in because I'm not going to be able to attend first.
So I can just give you a couple data points. In the neighborhood I live in, we have our own grass and tree branch pickup. It went up 500% in 1 year. And it's a problem because, the employee benefits, the pay, the gas, all the stuff that we're dealing with, 8.5%, it was shocking to us. I personally like having one standardized carrier. So they're going to come through your neighborhood once at one time. If there's a way out, it sounds like that's the right thing for you. I think from a macro perspective, what I've experienced, they seem to do a good job. And I haven't, the feedback I've received, the people that I spoke with, like when they come through once a week, as opposed to everybody having their own individual stuff. I think it's the right way to go for the town. Just maybe
My
not.
guess is you probably live in a more suburban area.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You're having tree branches picked up.
Yeah.
We just
chucked.
some part of our 100 acres. So I can understand where it would make sense for you, but it doesn't seem equitable to me. And for people like us who compost and have very little waste, there should be a way to opt out without being penalized for it, I would think.
Yeah, I'll just say that. Oh, I'm sorry. James, go ahead.
I know when this was years ago, nobody on here, well, Ann might have been, well, she wasn't on board. So that there was the company went bankrupt, which kind of put into a tricky situation where there was not a lot of options at the time it happened. And So when it went to this, and I actually could agree, agree with you, there could be a old senior citizen that, like you said, makes one thing,
Right.
but that was the best deal they could get at the time. And something like, it was per container, so like. I have 2 containers, I have to pay on top of that again for the second container, so I'm paying double because I have twice I actually probably more, but I have to pay them for the second containers. 1 container is included for the thing of each, then you pay extra for the other, so when you see multiple things out there, they are paying more for those. It's not this, 1 container is the same price for everybody, so
So
it's,
that's above and beyond what's in the budget?
yes, that I have to pay that on top, I write them a check.
Wow.
Just like you would if you had the trash service.
Jeez.
The service has been. I'll have to go on with Dave, it has been good, they show up, I mean, timing changes are here and there, but they show up and they take the things. Worst situations I've had is in the wind is I mean,
Right.
they don't get out of the truck, so. It's blown over. It kind of sucks because you gotta pick it up, but other than that they go by, they pick it up, and if things have really gone wrong, I think I've only seen one time, it ended up being a different day, and that was some really weird weather that was beyond their control, but they did show up and get it, so and from what I've seen, the price, I don't know what it's gonna be like when we get there, but I'm surprised it hasn't gotten worse, and I expect some. I'm afraid it's gonna get worse, not better, with the price of the fuel and them trucks, and we look at the price of the town trucks and stuff. Them garbage trucks aren't getting cheaper either, so.
I mean, for us, we can drive 5 minutes to Rock Cut Road.
Yep.
For $3 for the bag on our way shopping or something and just drop it off. It's virtually no cost to us. And it's such an inconvenience to try to fit into.
I hear that you are a unique situation because of the slope of your driveway. I get it. But I do think there are a lot of people that like the service. And I just have to say, until I became one of the 4 town supervisors, part of the Southern Onondaga Trash System, which is what SOTS stands for, and go to the meetings and discuss this. It's not easy to figure out how to provide trash service in Southern Onondaga County because we're so big and our big houses are so far apart. And it's the fuel. It's the fuel. That's what costs so much. And that's why it went up but it's only $29 a month when you do the math. Yeah, only.
It's outrageous to me.
Not outrageous.
Never had to pay.
I challenge you to find a service that comes to your house to pick up your trash.
That's its key. When we lived in Skinny-Atlas, you pay $20, maybe it's $30.
They have their own trash, solid waste.
Right.
Hey, that's a whole, you can't even compare it.
We used to in Pompey. I don't know why we got rid of it, but it was great.
I was paying more for the private one.
I think
The
people,
challenge when you have, at least in our neighborhood, and you're right, I live in the northern part of the town, Pompey Pines, the Preserve, Arbutus Park, I think it's called. And we had 5 different, or however many garbage companies there were. Every day there's different garbage out. And different it was a safety hazard, it was a safety issue, it was a quality issue, it was everything you can imagine. You clearly have an exception, so we should just figure out how to help you.
and
maybe if others have-
the way to do it,
Yeah.
but you don't, I mean, I can't help it that
But
they wanted to raise the opt-out fee last year, and I objected. I said, no way. I said, leave it at 100. And if anything, maybe we could lower it a little bit because I don't think we need to. I don't use the word penalize, but there is a fee for that because they still go by your house. So it doesn't matter that you're not using the service. It matters that they still are taking the same routes and we pay whether you're paying in or not. We have to pay for your residents. So I'm just saying, it's not as easy. It's really a difficult situation down in this area because each individual town would really struggle to come up with a way to take care of their trash. The haulers have to have incentive to come down here. They have to have incentive.
Are there other towns besides us that actually put it into their tax?
Yeah.
fees? I'm not familiar with this. I've never.
Every town.
Yeah.
No.
Sure. I think there's a majority of them do.
You aren't paying it when you were in Skinny Atlas. It was in your town budget there. It wasn't because it was town-wide. So it was incorporated.
Towns don't pick up. Towns aren't like cities or villages that have separate pickup services by municipal employees. Every town has some kind of trash hauling contract to pick up garbage in their town. Every town I represent does.
Where I lived, we
Where did you live?
privately hired
Yeah, where did you live?
somebody to go. Few places,
Where?
Hancock, New York.
Yeah,
multiple.
I'm talking about Onondaga County. It
I'm-
it would be rare not to have trash hauling services in the
In the-
Geddes has them, Salina has it.
Really?
Manlius has it.
It's-
Geddes has it.
I will.
Lysander has it.
Next year, it's going to be rebid because the contract is up. It will be interesting to see. We could have bid it this year, so we would have known what to expect in our budget next year because the contract ends in August. So next August, we don't know. Now we have this question mark between August and December. What's it going to cost? So but we chose not to bid it this year because of the price of fuel. And we're hoping that the fuel cost wouldn't be as much. That was the decision that the four of us made. So, but I will keep you apprised. I know that when the original decision was made to hire dependable because they were stuck, the fare went out, they had to get trash pickup and there was, I think they had two proposals and this was the lesser of the two proposals. But here's Tom back here, but there's our size accountant. But because they heard about it after the fact. It really wasn't, I don't promoted well. Like people didn't know about it, but there is going to be a bid process and we'll see what we get. And I know that some people won't want that, like you don't want it. But we have to sort of take care of everyone and we'll talk. We talked about it before.
Tonight,
Oh,
is there any other speakers? that were-
Wanted to answer the question, the state comptroller that was
Yeah.
being referred to.
Right, yeah, and just to add a little bit to that, so. For everybody's, full transparency, there were a lot of questions at the town hall meeting that we had at the fire station about. Audits, and we talked about the JCO analogy. And, the question was, do we want to raise taxes? Do we want to use different funds if we think there's a reason to provide an audit to the town? And then there were suggestions around the New York State Comptroller's Office doing it. And then the question was also asked, when was the last time? And that part I don't know. What I've experienced so far is I haven't seen anything personally in the 3 or 4 months that I've been here. We did the audit. I wanted to do the audit because there were questions about it. And I wanted to see, what internal steps are taken for the things that Ann and I looked at. The New York State Comptroller puts together a list and says, these are the things you need to check and go verify, which we did. Beyond that, I'm clearly not an accountant. I'll give you my opinion, which is we're in the transitioning process from Tom to a new financial accounting firm. I think from a baseline standpoint, that I would assume the new firm's going to look at what's been done in the past and what do we need to do going forward. And if there were any issues, I believe they would probably be raised at that time. If there's and
I'll just piggyback onto that about the state comptroller's office. They're not going to do an audit of a town our size unless they've been given a reason. It might be free. But they audit everything. They audit state agencies. They just go on their website and they list who they've just the audits, and they will tell you, like, they just did an audit of the Department of Agriculture. I mean, that's like, so, and for a municipality our size, unless we give them a reason to do an audit, they're not gonna be interested. Because they have too many other bigger fish to fry, you know what I mean? It's just not gonna be. But anyway, I didn't.
Yeah, I would piggyback on what he said. I would. We have another accountant come in if they, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna be looking at things very carefully, and if anything starts coming up, well, then I would definitely say that you have to do something more, but I did one of the audits back at the beginning of the year thing, and I didn't see any, you know, and I tried to look at these things very carefully, every number, make sure it's matching. I was a person more worried about tax increases than so.
One program.
And swim grow, you know, yes, I'm a person that wants to see things like the swim program and not, you know, and I don't want to see big tax increases. And we went through these budget things, and I, you know, learned a lot, saw a lot, and I think we did an amazing job at keeping, you know, we took care of what needed to be taken care of, and we kept the town thing online. So I believe, you know, I believe it is good. And if there's some, and I see no reason as of yet to say, oh, we got to spend the $30,000 on an audit. But if something comes up, we would do that. Right now, I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, I'm sure most of the board would be open to it and with the new accountant coming in, I believe if there's something there and seeing, he would say, hey, I think and he would want that because he's coming in new, like, hey, this isn't working right. That's when the flags are gonna fly. If there is any, I don't see that there's any there, but I've only been here 1 year. So if there's something there, for sure, we'll reapproach that. But as of yet, that's my count.
Are we ready? Oops, ready to adjourn? Can we just get a handle on when the last external audit was though? I mean, nobody knows when it last was. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know, Ben.
who would know? I mean, do they keep records on it or?
Yeah, you gotta keep an audit forever. It's, an audit is something you keep forever. It's
Last independent audit, I think, was in 2014.
But that wasn't an audit.
That
I
was
heard that was
ministerial.
It was procedural.
But not an external forensic audit.
Yeah, it was external. It was hired out, but it wasn't. Nobody was looking at numbers. They were looking at process. And when, I don't know. So.
Can I ask Tim or Tom, I don't know, Tom, if you have other municipalities that we work with, but I know, Tim, I believe you do. You have a sense of how often other towns are doing audit?
She said Manlius does it every year. I don't think that's true. I don't know where you got that information. I represent the town of Manlius.
I can look into it further. Someone told me that.
Who told you that?
I don't.
You don't remember? Okay, I represent the town
I'll
of
be happy
Manlius.
to call them tomorrow.
What's that?
Yeah, I'll be happy to call them.
Sure,
tomorrow.
I'll be there tomorrow, so I can ask them, but I don't think they do an annual audit. At least they don't do it. They don't do an external audit. There's no requirement under the law to do an no, of course not. And that's why they audit the bills every month. They look at every single bill that comes in. It's on the and they go through every single bill and they determine where the money is coming from, where the money's going out. That's why they went through a budget process. That's the whole point of the board auditing invoices and bills. That's done once a month. So,
Why, when I worked at the county, why did they audit everything?
because there are several, I'm sure, because there's federal money involved and the federal government requires audits of certain types of money that they're providing to the state or the state is providing to the municipalities. We don't have that same concept here in the town.
ARPA federal?
ARP is not subject to, at the levels we receive the funds, we're not subject to a federal audit on the ARPA fund.
ARPA is brand new. This is a new concept. It only happened last year and we're in the process of.
We didn't have to apply for it. It was given to us. We weren't asking for it. It came to us.
We know how that money's being spent because we talk about it. We just heard tonight. where that money is being spent.
How much
So
money is there? How much ARPA is left?
I don't know the answer to that.
There's a lot.
We hardly spent any of it.
Yeah, we came up with, we had the thing number come up all the time.
That's not an audit, that's just a the town board or to the
Can I,
person who's keeping the records of the town finance.
Balance of ARPA funds is $706,254.16.
Thank you.
You don't need an audit to have him tell you that.
Audits are standard, you know.
They're not standard.
When they're mandated.
can I ask a question? I'm not supposed to speak to the other audience members.
You can speak, address it to us.
Is there a specific concern that someone wants us audited for?
We have not heard anything specific other than a general asking us to do an audit, which, as you have heard from this board, not necessarily me, but from other board members, there is no reason to do an audit.
I'm just wondering if there's a specific concern that's prompting this request.
When we're done and we adjourn, I move to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.